Welcome back. Tran wins Baldur's Gate 3. In this episode, we'll be covering getting access to a couple new merchants and our camp conversations. In the previous episode, we just collected the Dark Amethyst, which we can now apply to the Necromancy of Thay book. Karlach would have disliked me opening the book with a -1 approval rating. Gale really dislikes it if I open the book with a -5 approval rating. However, Gale's in the party because when you open the book, thus getting the disapproval at the same time, you get an inspiration. And when you complete the book, you get another inspiration. These books here that we saved for Gale will also help us pass the Necromancy of Thay because we're only limited to 4 inspiration points. We are basically carrying portable inspiration at this time. I mean, inspiration points are nice. I do think the 4 cap is silly, but alright.
The book is locked tight with no visible keyhole. Only an oval recess in the cover's mouth. You try to examine the book, but the longer you stare, the more those piercing amethyst eyes draw you in. You can sense something dark about this tome. Something profane.
Curious. Why don't you take a closer look? I'll observe from back here.
Place the amethyst in the slot on the book's cover. Open the book.
The book's pull is irresistible. You feel changed, bettered for having opened it. Suddenly you are capable of anything. Felling mountains, darkening suns, conversing with the dead. Glyphs shift gently before your eyes. Words slip into your mind, onto your lips, forming words you don't understand. And something is trying to reply.
Now, I can't speak for felling mountains and darkening suns, but now that we've opened the book, we can converse with the dead without the amulet. As for this Warlock saving throw, it only applies for this first saving throw, so even if I were to try to save it for the next page and the next page after that, you don't get this option. This is solely for this first one, which is the easiest saving throw. We'll go and use it.
The symbols move aggressively, probing your mental defenses. Your patron is there to defend you, but there's only so much they can do.
Turn another page.
The world around you is gone. You can only see those glyphs, only hear those voices. You feel claws moving in the shadows. They pull at you, dragging you closer.
Urge your hand to turn another page.
The glyphs scream, branding your mind with strange runes. You see time rewritten, fate undone, your future thrumming with power. The book snaps closed. You've seen too much. What profane knowledge is now seared inside of you you should never have known.
Now we got Secrets of the Necromancer and All Knowledge is Worth Having. Additionally, this is the Book of the Dead Gods from the Overgrown Ruins. I didn't have it in that video, but if you read this with Gale in the party, he also gets a benefit, just like Shadowheart. I mean, not a like a stat benefit that we just got, but an inspiration. The stat benefit we just got, aside from learning how to cast Speak with the Dead, this is not from the amulet, this is solely on my character. You notice he's not even wearing the amulet. The benefit we get for reading this book is Forbidden Knowledge. from partially deciphering the Necromancy of Thay, you gain a +1 bonus to wisdom saving throws and ability checks. If we were to read this, we would get an inspiration for Shadowheart. Gale, that's 2 points right there. If we were to read this whole set of books, we would get another inspiration point for Gale. We are actually still maxed on inspiration. And these journals, I mean, sure there is, I guess, a lore here, but I'm not really sure how interested people are in me reading it. So if this is something that you would like me to gloss over in the future, please let me know in the comments below. But I don't believe that there's any content in these books that our characters will be influenced by directly. So let's go ahead and start reading. I think it's maybe in this order. I recall my life upon the surface with more than regret. I weep for the decades spent treading the murky waters of profanity while my true queen waited in the shadows. Even my name, Eliette, feels foreign and foul upon my tongue. A high elf, exalted by Loth herself, my drow captors cannot fathom it. But I see their house's downfall in visions granted by the Spider Queen herself. When that day comes, when some unnamed whelp from an insignificant house cuts the matron mother's throat, I will escape. I will find solitude, and I will worship Loth with my very soul. That's the apprentice journal with the dead body. Tattered journals next. They can sense my devotion. It draws them. I hear them in the shadows, whispers from the Dark Mother. I woke to a gift wrapped in a spider's silk, a pair of boots taken from a heretic's corpse. Loth sends her daughters to reward my faith, to let me know I am on the right path. Another gift, the corpse of a drow, sigils scarred upon his face, an arachnomancer, one with the power to inhabit the spider's form. It is a message, a calling. My blood already dries upon the dagger. Her blessed image is carved into my skin. Webcover journal. It is time. I will forever transcend this blasphemous flesh and refashion myself into Queen's image. No longer will I be bound to this lowly form, this base shape of organ and bone. Even the arachnomancers of Enzo shall weep at my feet, their little spells so feeble and fleeting. Today I found the House of Loth, and I shall be its matriarch. And then Burt journal. In her form I find ecstasy. The spell is not enough. We got Sage, a solitary spider. We're reading all of those. Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and Featherfall.
Let's get going.
We'll make our way down. Our character can... There we go. My computer loads so slow that we get to see all this extra stuff you wouldn't normally get to see in standard gameplay. That's the transition area between where we were and the Underdark.
Ah, Shadowheart. How blessed I am to be
Broken
so near.
bones. Gods, what's happening?
There's immediately 2 Minotaurs near you that are just patrolling the area. And they have like 100 hit points each, so we're just gonna ignore that. Our goal for this trip into the Underdark is actually just to find the next town, and I do know where it is. So we're gonna go and hop down while our Featherfall is still running.
Careful. Even the mushrooms down here can't be
Timask
trusted.
and torch stalks. Hell of a combination. Get confused by one, blown up by the other.
The red ones are explosive, the blue ones are confusion.
What now? Fungal spores. Remain vigilant. We cannot be distracted.
Right here, you don't want these to explode because it will destroy the bag and its contents inside.
All's well that ends. Not as bad as it could have.
Mustn't let anyone see.
Let's try to swoop in and grab it. Now that we've grabbed that, it's safe to have that explode. We can still loot the skeleton and the scrolls, but we'll try grabbing it without having that all blow up on me, just in case I'm wrong. Okay, that got very angry. This is a town, and there's going to be some dialogue as we approach. But I will have skipped that dialogue for this half episode, and we'll keep that footage for when we start making progress in this cave properly. The merchant is right over here. There's a sigil. And watch out for these two things. The myconoids will not like it if you destroy them. It counts as their property, but they will hurt you. You want to kind of hug this side right here. We're just going to ungroup and let our anti-hero run in alone. Do you have anything interesting to trade?
I do enjoy a good bargain, if anything in my private collection is to your liking.
We have here the Boots of Genial Striding, which allows me to move unimpeded by difficult terrain. A Circlet of Blasting, whose Scorching Ray is benefited by your character's spellcasting attribute. If not a spellcaster, such as I give this to Lae'zel, it will use her intelligence. The Baneful, which will have an added benefit of baning my target if it is a packed weapon. The Psychic Spark, which sounds pretty cool. It shoots an additional dart for every magic missile I cast, and it has its own magic missile embedded in it. Cinder Shoes, which I haven't really thought of a good combination for yet. When you burn an enemy, I get 2 turns of heat, and when I get heat, it looks like I take 1 to 4 fire damage. Then I can use that as heat convergence. So I would assume that I'm supposed to combine this with Karlach because it doesn't count as armor. Not all equipment counts as armor. This says medium armor right here. Even though it looks like this, there are some gauntlets, like these Hellrider's Pride. Looks totally like gauntlets, but does not count as armor. But specifically has to say medium armor or heavy armor. Well, these boots don't have light armor attached to that name, so I really think this is meant for Karlach. Sunwalker's Gift. The wearer can see in the dark up to 12 meters. The Lifebringer. When the wearer gains lightning charges, they also gain 3 temporary hit points. So I might combine this with my Boots of Dashing gets lightning charges. Melf's First Staff. Essentially, this gives me +1 bonus to attack roll. I mean, yes, spell save DC, but I don't know how often the person using a staff is going to be targeted by spells. Maybe they'll get targeted often. Most importantly, at my low level, it gives me an extra Melf's Acid Arrow. All of these scrolls and alchemical ingredients are what he restocks. This kind of stuff here is just part of his initial loadout and does not get replenished. Let's go ahead and buy up these unique artifacts.
Very well. I have mushrooms to catalog.
Need to find a way forward.
Rebel bark could sustain an entire village if seeded properly.
Next, we're going to head back to the Blighted Village.
You should consider a new name.
I take it you have some suggestions?
The Wizard Wonder. Or how about the Master of the Weave?
Tempting. But I think we might already have the maximum number of theatrical titles.
Alright, there's at least 3 ways you can get in, short of having super jump or something. If you pass an intelligence check, your character will recognize that the war drum will turn the goblins hostile. This is one way in, but there's a dude up here who's watching. If you try to head in that direction...
Oi! Thicko! This here's off limits! Get to the main gate, or I'll plug you full of arrows!
Apparently these goblins are very, very proper.
Goblins ahead.
We'll need a cover story.
Over here is a trapped area with web. In the version of the game I'm currently playing, the blast mines that are hidden here, if I disarm them, they will always go off as they walk around them. So if I just leave them armed, I can walk safely around. And then you jump over there and you'll end up behind the gate. We're just going to take the front entrance.
A trap. This place is more dangerous than I thought.
And as with the village, we will kill them when they're not looking. And we get 140 XP for talking our way through. As with the myconoids, the dialogue with the goblins will not occur in this episode, as I will be showing them in their respective content areas. we're just making a blitz towards the merchants. Going around that archer would have led us over here. You can also smash these if you didn't feel like running around them every time you walked in.
Sounds like they've captured themselves a bard.
This is the merchant, and if you want to pickpocket from him, the way I found easiest to do is to cast Minor Illusion on the bridge, making the merchant come investigate. You just run up behind him and steal everything. We'll just go ahead and chat with them. We're not going to do that stealing right now. I can actually properly click on him.
You look like you got something jingling in your pocket. Looking to spend it?
Let me see what you have. What does he have? He has Swersy shoes, which could either be used to make Tran able to jump acceptably range, give him an acceptable range, or hand it even to Karlach for her Eagle Rage, or even hand it to Lae'zel for her Githyanki jump. He has Hide Armor +2, which does restock, but any of these named artifacts like Swersy shoes don't restock. Gloves of Archery. Volo's yelling back there is kind of distracting me. Gloves of Archery gives me proficiency with longbows and shortbows and gives me +2 ranged weapon attack damage. Boots of Aid and Comfort. When I heal a target, I get the target gets 3 temporary hit points. I can combine that maybe with my Hellrider's Pride and really get some benefit out of that. And then let's see here. It looks like Doomhammer gives the enemy, or keeps the enemy from regaining hit points, and undead get disadvantage. That sounds pretty cool. Returning Pike. This will replace Karlach's entire arsenal of spears, because this is something I can continually throw. This weapon will return to its owner when thrown. Alright, and that looks like that's about it. He'll sell a hand drum as well if you're looking for something like that. Go and purchase the unique items from here as well.
Get moving. I've got other customers.
Then we'll head to camp. We'll start with Karlach since she's here.
Hey, soldier.
How did you end up with such a contraption in your chest?
The year, 10 air. The place, sleepy little town called Baldur's Gate. Our hero, Karlach, a knock-kneed delinquent from the outer city with everything to give and nothing to lose. I was a kid looking for a way to fill my days and make some cash when I fell into the wrong crowd. Worked for a guy I respected. A lot. Turns out the feeling wasn't mutual. Through the jigs and the reels, he made a deal with Zariel behind my back. You know Zariel, right? Archdevil of Avernus. She put this thing in my chest and set me to work. Well, to war. I learned quick how to stay alive. And the engine served me when it came to killing devils. 10 years of that. The stories I could tell.
Go on then, tell them.
I'll mete out the best ones bit by bit, so you always have a reason to keep me around. Clever, right?
You mentioned a boss who gave you up to Zariel. Who was it?
Guy named Gortash. Politician. Inventor. One of these wheeler-dealer types who seems to have a finger in every pie. I guess I was naive to think everything he got up to was above board. What did I know? I saw a job. A good job. With people I liked, doing work I was good at. Sometimes I'm jealous of that girl. Ugh, to feel so invincible again.
We've got some infernal metal. What should we do with it?
Damon told us to look out for this stuff, right? Let's go find him.
You and Mazora seem to know each other. How?
We were both part of Zariel's inner circle. Her by choice, me by force. In the grand scheme of things, I'm inconsequential to Zariel. Sure, I've got the engine, but I wasn't even her strongest fighter. But she favored me like a child favors a captive pet. Mizora envied the attention, I suppose. I'm sure when Zariel gave her the order to hunt me down, Mizora was delighted.
Do you think she'll keep coming after you?
I don't know. You'd think she'd have more important things to do. Devils and their pride.
I can see why you are so keen to escape.
No kidding. The fighting, the chaos, the betrayal. It had the makings of a good stage show, but I did not want to be one of the players.
You kid yourself. You weren't one of the players. You were the pawn. Come on, we're heading out.
Hell yes.
Back in Emerald Grove, we can talk to Demon.
How fares the search?
Would you be able to take a look at Karlach's heart?
Maybe. But I'd need infernal iron. And a prayer that my hammer will survive the work.
Thanks, Damon. We'll keep our eyes open.
We certainly will.
I found the infernal iron you mentioned.
Please let this work.
The weight of it. And that blaze of chaos. Can't imagine this where my heart should be. Must be quite the experience. Give me just a moment. And I think... There. You'll have to install it, I'm afraid. I don't think there are thick enough gloves in all the realms to protect from that kind of heat.
That feels... good. I'm still burning hot as hell's hole, but I feel less... changeable. Cheers, mate.
Pleasure. And as for the heat, I haven't got any solutions now, but I'm not giving up. Could be if the combustion chamber had its own insulation, or if we had some kind of enchanted coolant. Find me again in Baldur's Gate. If I'm worth my salt, I'll have figured something out by then. Take care, Karlach. And hopefully the next time I see you, I'll have something promising to report. Pocket any infernal iron you find along the way,
I'll have to burn what I wouldn't do for better tools.
Damon's upgrade didn't cool me down, but it did juice me up. I don't think I've ever felt more powerful.
We'll find more infernal iron and get you that second upgrade, too.
Sooner rather than later would be good. I feel like I'm burning serious fuel.
Will you be alright?
Oh, fuck yes. I'm ready to burn all night. Speaking of, I could eat a giant badger. Is it almost time for dinner?
Back at camp.
Soldier?
Looks like Karlach has nothing to say.
Sounds boring.
That's true, but we're done with you.
Oh, fine. I'll be here eating dirt or whatever.
Very well.
All's well, I hope, aside from the obvious.
We'll unlock more options of dialogue once we uncover more about Shadowheart. I suspect the reason why Shadowheart gets so many +5 approval bonuses is so that we can develop her backstory before moving on. There's something you're not telling me, I'm sure of it.
I don't know what you mean.
When we found that Selûne's shrine in the cave, you reacted unusually.
It's nothing, really.
We have to be honest with each other. What is it you're keeping from me? I think that was all my inspirations.
You're not going to let this go, are you? You might wish you had. I worship Shah, the Mistress of the Night. It is my holy mission to oppose Selûne, her teachings and her followers. It hurts. Now that you have the truth, please don't make a big fuss about it.
I don't care who you worship, we have bigger problems.
True. I didn't think you'd react so pragmatically. Perhaps I should have told you sooner.
In the future, I expect you to be honest. Let's leave it at that for now.
Gladly.
Why were you in pain before?
The wound on my hand. It never quite heals. And sometimes it causes terrible pain to rip through me. It's my burden, though, from Lady Shah. I can feel her influence somehow.
So you knew more than you were letting on before. Well, I still hope that you'll be more honest in the future.
I'll try my best. But secrecy is ingrained in me. Lady Shah considers it greater protection than any shield or armor.
Why would Shar subject you to such a thing?
I cannot say. Not with what I can recall. But even then, it would not be for me to question her will. Lady Shah has her reasons.
What causes it to hurt you?
It's difficult to say. Sometimes I wonder if it's supposed to be guiding me, punishing me, testing me. But perhaps it's none of those. Perhaps it's completely random. I'd like to hope there's more to it than that. Some meaning that Lady Shah will reveal to me when the time is right. Until then, all I can do is endure.
Anything I can do to help?
I don't think so, but you're sweet to ask. Maybe just be patient the next time you see me wince or cry out. It'll pass quickly enough. It always does. Pain is sacred to followers of Lady Shah. Pain will give way to loss and then to the peace of her eternal darkness. You can tolerate a great deal of suffering so long as it has meaning.
I want to talk about your Shar worship.
I'm sure you do. But please try to understand that it's not something I can just talk about freely.
I have no problems with Shar worshippers if that's what concerns you. Wow! Oh, I do have one inspiration left. Let's use it.
Very well. Perhaps there's potential in you. Let's see how you handle this. I am indeed a disciple of Shah. Mistress of the Night and Lady of Loss. I assume you've heard of her?
She doesn't sound very appealing going by her titles.
The night brings comfort. Through loss, we find acceptance. In the arms of the Dark Mother, we find peace.
There has to be something more that draws people to Shar.
Most fear the dark, like children. Because in darkness, they see their fears reflected. But Shah teaches us to step beyond fear. Beyond loss. In darkness, we do not hide. We act. Pain, hope, the promise of better days. All of these are heavy cloaks that bend our backs and burden our hearts. We shed those cloaks. Before Shah, we stand gloriously naked, beyond the vanities of mortals.
How exactly do Shar worshippers turn people to their goddess?
We tear down the lies the world is drunk on. The institutions they trust, the so-called gods they worship, the lives they cling to. We destroy false idols, topple corrupt organizations, fight heretics wherever they're found. There's often suffering, death even. Many people break before they embrace Shah's truths.
I won't bother to cast judgments on your belief.
Curious. Most are afraid of my lady. I think I did well by joining you. Most agreeable company.
Not really agreeable, just dismissive. I want to get to know you more, Shadowheart.
You already know my biggest secrets. What more can you ask?
What drew you to Shar worship?
She took me in when no one else would. Without her, I wouldn't be alive. She's my mother. She nurtures me, cares for me, loves me. Don't believe the lies the Selûnites tell.
Tell me something about yourself besides Shar, besides tadpoles.
What? Besides my life's calling and the greatest problem I've ever faced? Well, I like night orchids and can't swim. Is that the sort of thing you meant?
Really, you've flown between the planes of existence, but you've never been swimming.
It's nothing to laugh at. Save your questions if that's how you're going to react.
Anything else you'd care to share?
No, I can't. I mean, I literally can't. There's certain things I can't remember right now. Shah's secrets must be preserved above all else. All who worship her know this. I have had certain memories suppressed, voluntarily, so that I can serve Shah without compromising her. If I manage to return to Baldur's Gate and fulfill Shah's mission, then my memories will be restored.
That was notable information that we were looking for right there. You've had your memory suppressed. That seems extreme.
Of course. It is an act of faith, not to be undertaken lightly. Shah will reward me when I succeed.
Something strange happened. That artifact you carry, it seemed to just come to me.
I know. I felt it.
You felt it what? Fly away from you?
Yes. No. I don't know. The artifact seems to have powers, and a will of its own. It protects us. I don't know how or why, but I'm glad. I felt it go from me to you. You need its help, just as it needs us. Still just a box, after all.
That's better dialogue than I would have gotten if I had picked that first. I suppose you'll want it back.
Might not be possible. It's stubborn that way. Prone to lashing out. Keep it for now. We can all help to protect it.
If you've gotten to this point in the game and you haven't unlocked the rest event that reveals what Asterion is, you get this rare dialogue. He will confess to you.
You know, I've been thinking, and I think there's something I should tell you. Nothing big or terrible, just a small little detail about me that hasn't come up naturally. It's just that I happen to be a... what's the best way to put this? A vampire.
But you've been walking in the sun this whole time.
And by rights, I should be cinders, blowing in the wind. But something's protecting me. The same something that's kept us from turning into mind flayers, no doubt. But that's neither here nor there. What matters is everything's out in the open now. Because we trust each other.
Sounds very desperate, but at least he's more open than the other companions. We are a team. We need each other.
Exactly. I knew I could rely on you. Just like you can rely on me. Now, was there anything else?
He sounds so proud. Not at this time, Asterion. Carry on.
Speak.
Well met.
How about you, Wyll? How does it feel to be a devil?
It's said that anyone who bathes in the river of blood emerges as one born anew. It's a lot like that, I imagine. I feel the weight of these horns on my head, curling upwards like a mammoth's tusks. I feel these ridges snaking down my neck. Not to mention a few bumps and prongs in unmentionable places. But I haven't seen my reflection just yet. Be my mirror. What do you see?
I see the blade of frontiers. No more and no less.
It's because you know the heart lurking under the horns. The people will see a curiosity, maybe even a beast hungry for their souls. But I will slay their monsters, keep them safe, and one day they will see the blade of frontiers again.
How in the hells did you get involved with Mizora?
The one little question that put me out of house and home. I can't utter the terms or circumstances of the pact. I can tell you most all else, but the pact, I'm forbidden, unless Mizora permits it. But I'll say this. The moment I pacted myself to Mizora, I have not regretted for a heartbeat. It was my proudest deed. It was worth the sacrifice. All I can give you on that is my solemn word.
And you, Gale. What do you have to say?
How can I help?
If we take a look at... We'll pick another character. Wyll's in the area, so it won't make me do the loading screen. When we entered the Blighted Village, Gale got the Arcane Hunger condition. Now we will discuss this with him. You have this option here if you didn't talk to him in the field. However, it is a little bit bugged that his first line of dialogue does not appear, and we would miss some opportunities to gain approval. But for the sake of the video, I may give Gale a little bit of pacing. We're going to warp to the Emerald Grove environs, because there's a couple items we might be able to pick up.
Tiring business, isn't it? All this traveling and adventuring. Why don't we take a little break? Allow ourselves a few moments of rest? Gives me a chance to talk to you about something, well, rather important.
Rather important, no less. All right, go ahead.
We've been on the road together for a while now, haven't we? Survived some perils, overcame some obstacles. Ever since you were kind enough to free me from that stone, I've seen you demonstrate remarkable guile and courage. The way you stood in front of a crossbow to prevent a murder. The way you got Korga to release the girl. The way you got that boy out of a harpy's clutches. In short, I've grown to trust you.
Enough with the flattery. Where is this going?
I was being quite sincere, I assure you. The reason I make a point of saying this is that I've grown confident enough to tell you something I've yet to tell another living soul, except for my cat. You see, I have this condition. Very different from the parasite we share, but just as deadly.
Is it contagious?
No, nothing like that. Though if I fail to treat it, then the consequences would not be contained to me alone. What it comes down to is this. Every so often, I need to get my hands on a powerful magical item and absorb the weave inside.
What happens if you don't consume these artifacts?
I'll spare you the finer details, but it begins with a simple biological deterioration, muscle spasms, disorientation, a slight ringing in the ears, and, if left for too long, catastrophe. It's been days since I last consumed an artifact, since before we were abducted. It is time, and by that I mean it's imperative that I find and consume strands of weave at the earliest possible juncture.
Sounds like no condition I've ever heard of. I'd say you're just fishing for loot.
Please. I've better things to do with my time than hoodwink gullible adventurers out of their trinkets. I know that what I ask may seem unreasonable, but I promise I only make such a request because it is so incredibly important. Please, trust me. Your help could be the difference between life and death.
No, if you aren't willing to tell me the truth, I'm not helping you.
I understand that I am asking for a lot, but I can't tell you everything. Not yet, anyway. Please, reconsider.
The only reason why you can't tell me everything right now is because the writers make you not be able to tell me right now. You aren't going to drop this, are you?
No.
Neither am I. We'll have to see who gives up first.
I don't know how else I can explain the imperative nature of this issue. You can't simply dismiss it.
Watch me.
I see. Let me remind you that this is not something that can be ignored forever. Artifacts are of little use if you don't live to enjoy them.
Is that a threat? Near Alfira, the bard, with her own cutscene and everything, there's a chest right here. There's Alfira right there. Chest is on the other side of her.
Does that fit? No, that's awful.
Inside, we find the Cap of Curing. When I inspire an ally using Bardic Inspiration, they also gain 1 to 6 hit points. This area is where we found Merkin, I believe, and the Harpy's Nest. Well, Harpy's Roost in this case, because the nest is actually over here. We did find the chest, but behind it further, if we take this short hop, there's actually a nest with an item and a note, but the note seems irrelevant. Now, Tran does not have enough strength to jump across. You might remember that I mentioned the possibility of letting the AI do the jumping for you. So we'll have Shadowheart with more strength than Tran. Let's push Tran out of the way a little bit. There we go. And then Shadowheart will jump, but then you'll notice that Tran will actually also make the jump. From further away, mind you.
Let's see what those harpies were hoarding.
Alright. We have a Ring of Color spray. Gale can absorb this item's magic, destroying it. What this does is it gives me blind up to 33 hit points. We probably won't let him have this one. If you aren't interested in blinding your opponents, maybe that's a good pick. We'll continue grabbing magic items we have missed, and then we'll figure out what we want to feed to Gale. And while I'm certain I did pick it up, during the recording itself I didn't show this, but on this headless skeleton, which does show up on Alt, next to the egg of the Owlbearer's nest, there is the Oak Father's Embrace. Undead creatures that hit you get 1d6 radiant damage, but beasts that hit you also deal 1d6 radiant damage.
So, Wyll with a Y. Why?
Why? That's right.
But why?
Why? A great uncle to name, my father said. But I just figured he couldn't spell.
Now that we've collected a few of the missing items, let's see what we wish to give to Gale. Obviously, we wish to give him the most worthless of our artifacts.
What's on your mind? Apart from finding me an artifact to consume, which I assume you're pursuing with the appropriate urgency.
Oh, you have such a smug look on your face, dude. I was wondering, though, that condition of yours, why does it require magic?
Think of it as tribute. The kind a king might pay to a more powerful neighbor to avoid invasion. As long as I pay, there will be peace. But should I ever stop, along comes a war. I can assure you, the battlefield would extend well beyond the borders of my body alone.
Very well. I think I have a magical artifact you'll be interested in.
That is most gratifying to hear. May I?
What will happen to this item should I give it to you?
I will consume the magic inside. What was a powerful artifact will be rendered no more than a trinket, but it will save my life, even if only temporarily.
Now, unfortunately, you don't even get the remnants of the artifact, so if I were to give him this ring, you don't get a ring out of, as a result. It just is completely destroyed. Oh, does it only show what my... Does it only show what my current party's stuff is? I know Asterion has stuff, and Karlach has stuff. Alright, hold on 1 second. Let me grab everything from everybody.
Perhaps I'm not conveying the urgency of the situation. It's incredibly, world-shatteringly important you give me a suitable artifact. Please.
I'll give you the item you need when I'm ready, and not before.
I sense you don't quite appreciate the urgency of the matter. Dawdling may cost us dearly.
When you're begging for something from someone, don't take that kind of attitude.
You'll have to speak slowly. I'm finding it quite difficult to concentrate with my condition gnawing at my insides like a teething displacer kitten.
I think I have a magical artifact you'll be interested in.
That is most gratifying to hear. May I?
Okay. I've collected every item from every character and shoved it onto this character. Everything. Every book, every junk item, I just shoved it all onto Tran. Now we can see exactly what he's willing to accept. What I believe we will give him is Komira's Locket. This is something that we get for saving the child.
Thank you.
You look like a junkie.
That hit the spot. I can feel it work. The magic, it's like a lullaby that sings to sleep the demon inside. A metaphorical demon, I haste to point out, but no less dangerous. And no less bound to wake up again to continue its ravages. Such is the nature of all monsters.
How do I know the real monster isn't you?
My words, my actions, my award-winning smile. Sincerely, though, I understand I ask a lot from you with few answers in return. But in time, all will be told.
Dude, Asterion is more honest than you. I hope we don't regret losing that artifact. It could have proven useful.
I myself am a much more powerful artifact in your arsenal. Rest assured of that.
Yeah, well, with Withers around, I can have 3 more mages join my party. They won't require artifacts.